Greetings to another video. Today we're going to talk all about saddle comfort. I guess more so saddle discomfort. So if you are experiencing pain on the bike, I'm sorry, I've been there, I know how annoying and frustrating it is, but we will hopefully help you find a much more comfortable setup, because it might not actually be the saddle. So I'm going to talk about a few things, some things that you can do with your existing saddle, some other things to actually buy a new saddle if you need to. You should never be in like real pain on the bike. I do get asked quite a bit, saying, you know, do you just get used to the pain? I'm like, no. Don't get used to the pain. There are saddles out there and different things that you can do to make sure that you are comfortable when you're riding. So many people either have their saddle like at really weird angles, and no. You want it to be level. You want it to be between, actually, very specifically, 0 degrees and -3. And I learned this tip from Phil Burt, who is a bike fitter and a physio, and who worked for British Cycling and Team Sky. So he's the man to know, and he always recommends between 0 and -3 degrees. So you can do that on most phones. I've got an iPhone, there's like a measure app on there. Place that flat on your saddle, and if it's out of 0 and -3, you just want to adjust it slightly just to get it into that perfect level. Another thing that might be causing pain, especially if you're going to just get in pain on one side, is your legs might be a different length. So if that's the case, you might then be kind of moving to one side of the saddle more just to kind of counteract that. So definitely either go and see a physio or a bike fitter that might be able to help you with that, because if that is the case, it's quite easily fixable. All you need to do is just build up your cycling shoe with a couple of different shims, and that should even that out. So that is an option. You've got to make sure the bib shorts are tight fitting and just like a second skin, because so many people again just have like these really loose, poorly fitting bib shorts or bib tights, and it causes chafing. So just make sure that your bib shorts fit really snugly. This can be an absolute godsend if you are getting pain, and I do get asked whether or not you should put the chamois cream on yourself or on the actual chamois in your shorts, and the answer is both. If you want to do both, do a bit of both, do what works for you. Generally, I don't really use it that much anymore. When I first started, I definitely use it on every single ride. So yeah, but there are so many out there. The one that I use, this is not sponsored, but the one that I really like is called Slipstream. It's on Amazon, I'll leave a link to it. But what I like about that is that I think the first ingredient in it is aloe vera, so it's just going to be really soothing to your skin, and actually you can use that while you're riding and also when you get back, so it's like a 2-in-1. If you've tried all those tips and none of them are helping and you're still having issues, it's probably time to buy a new saddle. So a couple of different tips that you want to look at when picking or choosing a new saddle are the width of the saddle and also whether there's a cutout in it or not. So the width is basically correlating to the width of your sit bones, and even if you are a really small, slim, narrow person, that doesn't necessarily mean that you would always go for the smallest or narrowest saddle. You would think it does, but it doesn't correlate. I read like a couple of articles about it and a lot of research that's gone into it, and it doesn't correlate. So you can do this at home. You can measure your sit bones at home using some foil and some cardboard. That's how I initially did it. There are YouTube tutorials online, or you can actually go and see a bike shop or a bike fitter. Most of the shops will do that now for you if you ask for it. Then you can actually choose the right size saddle that's going to give you the right amount of support. The cutouts are really good if you are getting a lot of pain towards the front of the saddle. Like my saddle has a cutout and I just think it is incredible. So that is another thing to look at if you are choosing a new saddle. So definitely give them a try. I really do rate having a cutout, but obviously it's hard because what works for me is not necessarily going to work for you. I wish I could just say this is the one saddle that everyone should get and it's going to work, but it's not the case. You do have to just try around a few and see which is going to work for you. Also, it's really important to remember that the most expensive saddle isn't necessarily going to be the most comfortable. Actually, I find it's kind of the opposite in many cases, because the really high-end, expensive like carbon saddles are made for racers and pros that are trying to save every gram. So they're made from much lighter ingredients with a lot less cushioning. But then I guess on the other end of the spectrum, like really cheap saddles that have got like so much cushioning are just, I don't rate them. So I think for me it's about having that sweet spot of it being enough cushioning but not too much. I use the Bontrager, I think it's called Ajna, and I think it's reasonable, but I think it's like 50 or 60 pounds. And I've used that on all my long rides, 600k on it, no issues whatsoever. But again, what works for me is not necessarily going to work for you. I hope that has helped. I'm also giving away a copy of my ebook called Cycling Made Simple, which is just everything that you would ever need to know if you are new to cycling. There's a big section in there about saddle comfort as well, and saddles and all that stuff. So if you want to win a copy, all you need to do is just post a nice, positive, encouraging comment in the comments, or let us know a couple of tips that you've had about finding your right saddle. And I reckon that is it for this video. I hope you're enjoying this series, and I will see you next video.